G'day, Clubbies stars, and welcome back to the Legends series. When we started this thing, we thought it was a journey down memory lane or an update about the current players to find out about their time in their football, so about their careers. But that was until in episode 2, last year's coach Goyne put up some allegations of theft, allegations of pocketing cash, allegations of not fulfilling slab duty. And so we've uncovered this scandal, and we're given the opportunity to John Corrigan here tonight to rebut or give his side of the story about what actually happened on that fateful day in Byron Bay. So we'll get John on shortly. So grab a beer and sit back and let's see where this interview takes us. It's sure to be an interesting one. So welcome to the series, John Corrigan.
Thanks so much, Deeks. Pleasure to be here, mate.
Oh, great to have you on. Look, how about we get to the allegations later, because you are a legend of Club 18. You've got the jumper on. I think you're wearing a bit more there as well.
Yeah, I got the hat as well. Captain's award that Davo, I think, gave to me at a moment's weakness. Was after my 100th game. So, I didn't get it due to any ability on the pitch, but yeah, just tenacity and hanging in there, for 100 games.
Mate, that's all part of the spirit, what we're after, what we love about the club. So don't undersell yourself on that stuff, mate. And don't undersell yourself tonight, because tonight is your episode. It's your time to shine. So let's hop into your footy career. Where did it all begin?
Well, I came to Australia in 2006 as a backpacker, and just my first ever job in Melbourne was working at the footy at the MCG. So I got into footy then, just loved it straight away. Didn't play, didn't do anything like that, and went back to Ireland in 2007. And then in 2008, I started playing for the South Dublin Swans in Dublin, obviously, and just loved it straight away. Like I hadn't played sport for a team for about 10 years or so. I played a lot of soccer and rugby as a kid, and just loved it straight away. So now I played 2 years over in Ireland, and then I came back to Melbourne in 2010. And my mate Jason Sincock, who I played with him in Dublin, he'd come back in 2009, and through another friend of ours, got in touch with Mordo, who got him down to the Clubbies, the Two Blues.
Yep.
And through Jason, I joined the team 2010. Did the preseason, played one game, the first game in 2010, and I actually moved to Port Macquarie, New South Wales for that season. So I played up there, but then came back to the Clubbies, came back to Melbourne at the end of 2010, and then I've been with the Clubbies ever since. So, and I've been played every season.
Yeah, beautiful. Do you remember your first game?
I remember the first game. I remember it was in Darling Park. I don't think we won. It might have been against Avs, but I don't remember much about it.
Yeah, okay.
We were playing, and before he became coach, and like Faz was coach at that stage. Killer, of course, was still there. Stores was playing. I remember those boys.
Yeah, how'd you go? How did you go?
I don't think I got too much of the ball, to be honest. Sign of things to come. I remember I came away, because I did most of the preseason for about 6 weeks or so, and I came away thinking that they were just a great bunch of blokes, and I knew I was going to move back to Melbourne at some stage, so I knew that I'd join those guys when I came back, regardless of what was happening.
Yeah, good stuff. So give us a sense of you as a player. What sort of player do you play like? Position? Give us a style.
I'm a backman first and foremost, and it's a rare day that I venture past the halfway line. It used to be a running joke that I'd get 5 minutes in the last game of the season in the forward line, see if I could kick a goal. Kind of still happens. I'm like a dour defensive backman. I'm put on the smallest forward and just told to stick on him. Because I didn't grow up playing the game, I don't have much game sense. I kind of run around like a headless chicken. So it's easy just to say, right, Johnny, you're on that guy, that small forward, stick on him. Don't let him get a kick. If he gets it, tackle him. I'm definitely known as the turnover king. I win the ball a bit and then just kick it straight back to the opposition. Normally Killer wins it back, gives it to me. I kick it straight back to the opposition. And that repeats and on.
I'd said to you at the start, don't undersell yourself. This is your episode, by the way, so remember that. But you've got 100 games up. You mentioned that, so 106 is your number. That's a good effort. So you've obviously learned something on the way through.
I'm not really sure. I think it's more tenacity and availability over ability. I play a lot more. Like I had a couple of years I went back to Europe mid-season for the European summer, and I was home for 4, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. And I think that held me back my first couple of years. Had too much Guinness and too much of my mum's home cooking, and then came back fat and unfit and hadn't run in 6 weeks and kind of struggled for the first couple of years. So I kind of probably got a bit better 2014, 2015, those sort of years.
Yep.
Yeah, like I've always loved getting out with the boys and having a crack.
Yeah, it's good fun. So give me some of your favourite memories as a player.
As a player, I remember my first ever game was a practice game. I kicked 2 goals somehow in the forward line. And I've never kicked 2 goals again for the club. So they probably thought, oh, this guy could be all right. And then it's just been one disappointment after the other since then. One of my highlights was the one time in my time at the club that we beaten Hawthorn. Now, we joke about our catchphrase for the club is "We hate those cunts," which we say pretty much every week against the opposition. We started off that because of Zabs, but Hawthorn, we really, really hate those guys. They have not one guy with redeeming features at the whole club. And we did beat them one day at Como Park, and that was incredible. I was so happy after that game because they're a bloody good team, and you know they've got a lot of guys that should be playing at a higher grade. We played against Ange Christou, who's a Carlton Premiership player. We played against Angelo Lekas, who played 150 games for Hawthorn. So it's ridiculous that they're on the same footy pitch as me, for example. But that one game we beat them was just awesome.
Yeah,
I remember once we went to Mount Lilydale. It was the last game of the season, and regardless of the result, we were going to play them again the next week in finals. So it's a long way to go. Mount Lilydale, it's like deliverance country. So we had half a team go out. I know Bergs didn't bother show up, and we got pumped. We kicked 1 goal for the game, which was my goal. So I was the only. If it wasn't for me, we would have kicked no goals for the game, which would have been a major embarrassment. So that was a good moment, good memory from there. And then the next week, 7 days later, we went and played them in finals. They thought, oh, look, we pumped these guys last week. We're going to win easy. And we beat them pretty comfortably by 6 or 7 goals. So that was a really good moment because they're a bunch of cunts as well. So it was really good to rub
I might need to point out to this is we're probably operating about an M rating sort of spot there, John. We can call them carpets or cockroaches or something. I don't know. But you're about an M rating. We roll with this. So I think we understand where we're at with. But we do like most teams. We just don't like those. Yeah, we understand that. So give us some of your standout players. Who are the standout players that you've played with over your career?
Well, all right, with a lot of really talented players at the club that I played with. Because I'm always in the back line. I always look up to the really, really good backline players we've had. Crispy was fullback for a good while. I think the last game he played with us, he broke his leg, unfortunately, had in the Trobe. But Siebes is absolute jet. I think he played a bit in the Waffle over in WA with South Fremantle. Jerry's an absolute champion player. Hopefully he'll be back this year. I reckon the best player I've ever played with anywhere is Stores. Stores is an absolute animal. He's just incredible. And I think he makes, like, joking aside, everyone lifts 5-10% when Stores is on the field. Like, we might play against a team and think, Jesus, these guys are good. But we've got Stores today, so we've got a chance.
Yep.
He's the best player I've seen in the wet ever. He just dominates in the wet. Another brilliant player is Bergs. Like, we all know Bergs is an absolute jet. I remember when he first came down, when I first played with him, say 2012, 2013, he was kicking 7, 8, 10 goals every single week. And we knew that it didn't matter. We could have 10 inside 50s for the day. he would still kick 7 or 8 goals. And he might have 2 or 3 blokes on him, hanging out of him. He'd either win a free kick or he'd take the mark. And, he kicked, he just never missed.
Yeah.
And I don't know what, is he 50 now? But he's still a gun.
Yeah, he's approaching 50.
Yeah.
I think he might have turned over. Might have got there by now.
Yeah, he's still a jet. Another guy is Killer. Killer hardly ever misses a game. He just dominates. He's on the wing all the time. He's the fittest. Him and Slab are the 2 fittest blokes on the team. He just runs all day. Like Killer, because I played backline, halfback, he saved my ass a million times. I'll mess it up and Killer will mop up, win the ball back, kick it downfield. Absolute jet Killer. One guy as well, he's one of my best mates at the team, is Mordo.
Yep.
Everyone loves Mordo. He's an absolute legend. He's probably the number 1 legend of the club. Like a couple of years ago, he played his 250th. Did his ankle really badly. His ankle turned at a right angle. Any other player at the club would have retired on the spot. It was the day of his 250th down in Ormonds. We got to draw that game. He got stretchered off on the ambulance, the green whistle. Any other player would have retired, but he was back last season and he was as good as ever. Like, he just never stops running, never gets beaten in a one-on-one. So, like, the person I think I admire the most is Mordo. He's an absolute champ.
Yeah. He's an interesting cat, Mordo. Like, he's the quietest man, and he's very good at the foot. He's one great player, still playing, but on a footy trip, he just does some stuff that people just don't expect. He's a unique cat.
Mordo's an old school raver from the 90s,
Mm. Yeah.
He's the last one to dance floor at 4 a.m.
Yeah, wouldn't pick it. So now we're sort of into that territory. We might as well hop into our story, the headline story. Johnny, your version, give me your version, go for it, all warts and all. What's your, hopefully not warts, of the Swedish backpacker story? Go for it.
I couldn't believe when Goiney said that he thinks I might have pocketed the money. I came back with my shirt all ripped from that. Like, the money wouldn't have paid for a new shirt for me. So even if I did pocket the money, I would have lost out cash-wise. We went down, it was myself, Dino and Tristan. We went down to get some slabs for the boys back in the apartment. And the first place wouldn't serve us because Dino and Tristan were so blind. They said, there's no way I'm going to serve you guys. And we needed to order 3 slabs, so we had to carry 1 each. Second place, the boys stayed outside and I went in and ordered 3 by myself, and I was sober-ish, so they were happy to serve us. And we went outside, got talking to a bunch of women. There's at least 10 of them. I think there was some English, some Swedish, some Danish. And the boys were having a chat with them, and then they were getting a photo taken. So we put the beers down behind us. And some feckers lifted up one of the slabs. And I thought it was just a bit of a joke. They were just having a laugh, and then they, put it back down and walk off. But one of them picked it up, started sprinting down the street. And I'm looking at the other 2 guys, and they're like, what can you do? And I said, well, I'm not standing for this. So I sprinted back down after them, followed the guy. And then he turned right down a blind alleyway, and I followed him. And he was shouting at me, saying, like, just leave it. Leave me alone, whatever. He actually threw the slab at me, and I kind of tried to catch it. Half of it fell on the ground. And then I was thinking, well, this guy deserves a belting, And then all his mates came around the corner. So it was me, him, and his 10 mates. I was like, well, I'm I can't take 10 of them, and there's no sign of Dino or Tristan. So I just kind of play it easy and try and try and get out of it and try and recover as many beers as possible. The guy kind of came at me, so we just kind of wrestled a bit, and my shirt all got ripped. And then I kind of just pushed him away, and then he threw our beers on the ground, so half of them broke, half of them smashed. And then the other boys came back, and they had the other 2 slabs as well. So I reckon we brought back maybe 2 slabs and a 6-pack to the rest of the boys. So it wasn't too bad. It's not like we disappeared with all the money and came back with no beers. The boys then invited the Swedish girls, to our apartment. and they gave the whole, oh yeah, we'll be back in like 20 minutes. We'll just have to go back to our hostel first, but we'll come and join you. And of course, they never did. I remember at the time coming back into the apartment, and I was full of adrenaline, and I was like, wow, I thought I was going to have a full-on punch on with like 10 guys, and luckily it didn't really turn out that way. But yeah, disappointed Goiney thought I pocketed the money, because he knows I never did.
Yeah, that's what I'm picking up too. So, I mean, that sounds reasonable. Here's Goiney saying you've gone out, you've taken on 10 blokes for the team, for the club, you've defended the honour of the beers that you've gone out to buy, and come back with 2 slabs and 6-pack. So you haven't lost a lot. And Goiney's got the gall to come out and say you've thieved.
Yeah, well, I guess Goiney's just going to have that on his conscience long term, but what can you do?
So you've been on a few footy trips with the club over the years, Johnny?
Yeah, I went on 5 footy trips to Byron.
Footy trips. How many worst on grounds have you got?
Well, I think it was only 4.
Oh, okay.
Because the last time they asked for votes but never officially gave out a winner. But those four worst ons that's a total rort as well.
Tell me, how are you getting worst on ground? Is it a conspiracy, or are you deserving these awards?
The first 2 were well deserved and well earned. I just basically got smashed, and a few memory blanks. And the first year, I blanked out after drinking all day long from lunchtime to, past midnight. Came to at the beach. Don't know why I went to the beach. And then that was the year that Plunger, Gunga, and Louis got a penthouse apartment, which was off the scale. It was fucking awesome. Had a swimming pool on the roof as well. It was great. And I knew all the boys were back there having a party, which was against the rules, was completely not allowed. And I went back, knocked on the door, tried to get in. Nobody was answering, and I was like beating down the door, and I was half cut as well. And then the security guard came down, was wondering what's going on. And I was so drunk I could hardly speak. And then Louis appeared from nowhere, and Louis calmed the situation down, because had they had a party, they would have all been kicked out. And so Louis basically just sent me home back to the hostel. So that was fair enough. That was worse on. That was well earned and justifiable. This year, I think I got pretty drunk at the beach hotel, and I threw a glass over my head, which landed on a big table of rugby blokes and spilled drinks and stuff. And some people had to talk them down off the ledge, and luckily that was all fine, but that was well deserved as well. The next year, completely undeserved, complete rorts. It was just somebody figged the votes. A person who shall remain nameless, ex-coach of the club. I reckon he fudged those votes. He changed the votes, or he just invented that I was the worst on. Because he got thrown out of a nightclub. He got us all thrown out of a nightclub for getting up to no good in the toilets. And then later on that day, he puked all over the hostel, all over the ground, all over the bed. And he somehow avoided worst on despite all of that. And he was the one counting the votes at the time.
Okay.
At that stage, I got it 3 years in a row. So the next year was just kind of a bit of a joke that everyone voted for Johnny. But it's a badge of honor. It's something it's the only thing I've ever won at the club. So, never going to win the goal kickers award or the DNF or.
There you go. Well, if you're going to do it, you got to own it. And I think you've done a good job there. But I've heard there's a special routine that you might have when you go to Byron, when you walk along the beach. Is it a beach walk of some sort of nature?
Yeah, well, I know that if I start drinking at noon with some of the other blokes, I'll be gone by midnight. And I want to stay out. I want to enjoy the whole night. So I'll go for a big long walk along the beach just to get out have a swim and just to enjoy it, enjoy the weather.
Yeah. And you dressed a certain way? You got a sort of outfit or something you wear, or have I picked that up on the way through?
We had a dress up the night of the slab incident. we all had to buy an outfit for everyone else in an op shop, and I was given some dress that I couldn't even wear because I was too fat. But yeah, it's certainly not on the beach or out in public. But that was just in the apartment we had.
Yeah. So actually, I've got a question for you later. I'm going to bring it forward now because we're on to the dress ups. Last year's BNF, you had a costume that night.
Yeah, I actually have it here in the spare room here. I was told we were all told there was a dress up for the BNF. We'd done it before. The party was in Goiney's Hotel in the Penthouse, which is a fucking awesome place, off the scale. Yeah, it's fantastic. And I showed up in my Superman outfit with full on cape and everything. And turns out nobody else showed up in an outfit. And it was me and one other person, and that was it. So I guess all the other guys about it, or
Yeah, that story resonates better than you think, Johnny. It's not my episode, so I'm not going to go into detail, but some group of fellas who I would call my mates as well have done a similar thing. So you and I have both fallen for that same gag over our journey. So
I didn't mind it. It was a bit of fun.
Yeah, but did you go out that night? Because I do concur. The ladies do find that sort of stuff interesting. Did you head out that night?
I didn't actually. I should have done. I stayed pretty late at the Penthouse and got a taxi back home.
Good fine.
Yeah, it was a good laugh.
Yeah, you could have flown. Get the cape on. So now, is it true that you get public transport to every game?
Up until last season, yes. So I only got my driver's license last season. Never had one before. So I live north side. I'm in Fitzroy North now, and I was in Brunswick before that. Yeah, and I'd always get the train and stuff to the game so I could have a drink after. And
yeah. So, and that's home games, away games, all of them?
Yeah. I drove last season pretty much to all the games.
Wow,
but before that, I'd get public transport or get a lift or something.
You got your bag with you. How do you manage a slab duty or something like that, for example?
Well, before I had a car, I'd just give someone, $60, $70 and someone else would get slab duty for me.
Yeah, okay. That works. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing, Johnny, you bring a lot of character to the club. I mean, you've got a good, self-effacing sort of thing. You bring a lot of character to the club. Who's some of the great characters you've played with throughout your journey?
Some of the great characters?
Yeah.
You can't go past Scotty Bryden. He's the only bloke I've ever known who's tried to chat up some girls during the warm-up before the game at Como Park. He's one of a kind. He's a top bloke. And he's just got, there's a bunch of girls doing aerobics or gym work or whatever. And he goes, "Oh, how's it going? Yeah, I'm Scotty. And how are you?" I'm like, "Mate, what are you going to do if you get your number? You don't have your phone on you. You don't have a pen and paper." But he says, if you don't have a crack, you can't get success. So
Exactly that. Good lesson.
Another great bloke at the club is Faz. Faz was my first coach when I joined the club. And he's still playing. He's a top guy. Funny story about the one time I saw Faz completely lose it was when we had Como Park in South Yarra as our home ground for a couple of seasons, and we weren't allowed to have beers in the rooms, which is a Clubbies tradition. It's what the club is founded on. It's what we're all about, beer and all of that. And the rule is with the VAFA, you're not allowed to have a beer while a game is in play. So we actually, it must have been Old Geelong, gave out about us, ratted on us, and we got a fine for having beers in the rooms. And then the next time we played them, one of their players was having a 200 game, and they were having beers in their rooms. And when Faz heard that, he just lost it. He went crazy. And he just stormed out and just had to go at them and what the fuck is this? This is bullshit. And, it's hilarious. I've never seen him that angry on or off the field before or since.
Well, Faz beer involved. I think that he holds it dear to his chest and probably his stomach as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's quite interesting because I mean the days these days around the drinking in the rooms and stuff has changed dramatically since 2008, obviously because of an incident. But way back when, listen for future episodes about how that sort of certainly was no rules against it back in those days. So what were your thoughts, Johnny, when you first heard the song, when you first heard that?
When I first heard the song, I just thought to myself, this is the club for me. This is what I'm about. Beer, bourbon, vodka, and gin. Beer and chicks and things that can't. I said, to myself, I'm welcome home. I'm home.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite part of being at the team. It's singing the song when we get a win. It's normally pretty hard-earned win, and it's standing arm in arm with all the boys. And I love looking around to see all the guys' faces and see the big smiles on their faces as they belt out the words. And like the new boys who haven't heard the song before always crack up laughing when they hear it. But that's what the Clubbies is about, having the beer in your hand and belting out the song.
Yeah, that is. And it is one of the most special things that we hold dear and always have since 1982 when that song was made up through today. And it's been a constant all the way through that thing. So it's a wonderful thing. I'm going to run through a word association with you, Johnny. So you can give me a word, a phrase, a story, whatever you want to do. So you've mentioned a couple of people here. So I'll go for, Morday, you mentioned Berg I had there. Give me Goiny. Let's go to Goiny. You've got your allegation. Give me Goiny.
Well, they call Goiny fumbles, but I think that's pretty unfair. Goiny, his first couple of years, he was a good player, and then after that, he became a brilliant player. He started winning best and fairest, and he's a really fit guy. For a ruckman, he can run any other ruckman in the comp off their feet. Runs all day long, and he's a real good bloke, Goiny.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, and that's nice. That shows what sort of man you are. The bloke can accuse you of theft 2 weeks ago, and you still call him a great person. That's good club work there.
One thing about Goiny, actually, just a quick thing about Goiny. He invited me down to his 2020 cricket team a couple of times. You might not say this, but I actually averaged 58 for that team with the bat. So just quietly, I know I've been bagging myself a bit with the footy, but he'll have a good laugh about that.
Mate, you'd be in the national team in Ireland if you kept that sort of form up. Let's go on. Who else got here? Slavo. Hit me on Slavo.
Slavo's, I reckon, the fittest guy at the club. It's actually good to have Slavo in the team because it's the one guy I can actually kick the ball further than. Because 30 meters is about his range. So he's the one bloke that I can cover there.
Yeah, good. I've got a phrase for you, which I'm really interested in your response. When you've got to go, you've got to go. What does that mean?
I guess it means go hard at the ball.
Yeah, I'm sort of more talking about the toilet sort of side of it. Is there any incidents that came out or?
There's one completely made up story that Slavo invented. That's completely not true. But apart from that, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Well, that might have been the story I'd heard. But was there a trip back from Mornington and you had to call in a Goiny to pick up something on the way through?
Again, another rort. We all went back to Goiny's. Goiny had to pick something up, and all the guys took a piss in Goiny's garden. So I thought it'd be a bit more polite to take a piss in his toilet in the house. And that story grew legs, and people invented untruths, and it went from there.
Fair enough. As I said, it's your episode. You can represent it the way you need it to. So we'll wrap up shortly, but what's a message that you would have, Johnny, as a current legend, to the past legends about where the club's at now? I mean, you can't get in the field now, but where's the team at going forward, do you think?
I think we're in a really good place. In the last couple of years, a couple of the real legends have taken a bit of a step back. and they've got more commitments with kids and wives, and some of them have moved a bit further away. But we've got some really good blokes who stepped up, like Jimmy, the new coach. Like Jimmy wasn't a part of the club about 4 years ago, and now took over as coach last season, did a brilliant job. A ripper player as well. We were really struggling about 3 years ago for numbers, and we had really poor numbers at training. And then a bunch of the New South Wales rugby guys joined up, and Queensland guys, and they've been brilliant. Like Trent and Benny Anderson and some of those guys. Like Benny's deputy vice captain now, which is a very important role at the club. Another bunch of rugby, like Marshy and Dono last season, last couple of seasons. You know, they never miss training. They're really good players as well. They have a real crack at it, real hard at it, and they've got better and better every season as they played, because they're not coming from a background like myself. They played a lot of rugby and stuff. Judda as well Judda's a gun. You know, he played rugby all his life as a kid and as a young in his 20s. He's a ripper player, you know, and they're the heart and soul of the club now as well. Like they're socially, they're always up for a beer and they're always out and about. So I think we're in a really good place. Where the core guys are a lot younger than they have been since I joined the club. Really, that's where we always fell back. Our fitness wasn't great, and it's a lot better now because of those guys. Like I'm struggling with my fitness these days, but those guys really make a difference.
Yeah, good stuff. And look, and I wouldn't want to get the ball as an opponent or opposition player, because these boys can tackle, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, they go hard in the tackle, and like some of the opposition don't like it. They're like, that's rucking, that's not footy, mate. If there you got the ball, you're fair game for anyone.
That's right.
These guys shoulder in, get how, you know, they stay tackled. These guys when they get hit.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. That's great. Well, Johnny, mate, we'll wrap it up here. Mate, you've been a star. And so footy clubs for me are made up of great players, but more importantly, great characters. And I reckon you nail all that sort of stuff, mate. So I reckon you add a lot. You play an important role in the club, in the team, and there's a lot of stories around about you, and I think you're playing a good role there. So Johnny, you're a clubby legend.
Thanks so much, Deeks. I appreciate it. I don't agree with you, but you know, appreciate the sentiments.
As I said, mate, if you don't talk yourself up tonight, when can you do it? I mean, we're one out here, so you could have done it. So anything else you wanted to cover off before we wrap up?
Not really. I have one thing written down here. My one regret in the Clubbies is that I never actually got to beat old Zavs. I played them a bunch of times, got belted a bunch of times, got pretty close a few times recently. And I drew against them. And then 2 years ago, I was away traveling in America, and the boys actually got up and beat them for the first time in 10 years. And I would love to be there for that, because I really hate those guys. That's my one regret from the Clubbies, that I never got to beat Zavs.
And thanks for, as you rolled through the interview, you worked out how to get it back to an M rating. You really hate those guys, and I like that how you made the adjustment. So thank you for that. So we'll sign off. So Johnny, thanks very much for being part of the interview series. Stay tuned for future episodes. We've got another past legend coming up. I won't be in the chair, but a special guest will be. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be exciting. He's one of our best, one of our heroes. So we'll sign off here, team. Thanks, Johnny. You're a star. And remember, we are the Mighty Club 18. Thanks, boys.